Picture yourself walking on a 10-foot wide concrete path. It can be in the woods, in a very large open field. It doesn't matter, but you're walking along this path and you feel like you're walking and walking endlessly and never seem to arrive at any particular destination. The same path just continues. Then suddenly, magically, you float up into the air higher and higher. The view is spectacular. And as you look around, you see that narrow concrete path that you had just been walking on for so long. Your curiosity has you trace the path and where it goes. And as you float higher, you see the path from a different perspective, the perspective that you have now, and you see that the path is actually one large circle, curving so slowly and gently that you didn't even realize there was a curve on it at all as you were walking on it. So you laugh to yourself, no wonder I didn't get to a destination. I was traveling the same path around and around and around. But you might never have realized that if you hadn't gotten this different view. It all comes down to how you look at things, your ability to gain a perspective that you might not have right now, where you stand right now. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's podcast, the impact of perspective on your business growth. Ultimately, what it means to your success or failure with any given project, or ultimately with your business as a whole. Your perspective is everything. Welcome to the Next Level Sales Podcast, the podcast where sales, spirituality, and business come together so that you can build your dream business, accomplish big goals, and make the world a better place, one conversation and one client at a time. I'm your host, Jessie Quinby Hearns, and after more than 20 years of personally doing, as well as coaching successful business people in the skills and systems of sales, marketing, lead generation, offer strategy, negotiation, and follow-up, I've learned a few things. One of the biggest is that most people don't love doing these activities. They'd really rather be doing something else. And two, how we approach lead generation and sales energetically makes a huge difference in our success and our impact. As you're likely aware, there's a lot of yucky, pushy lead generation and selling going on out there that just annoys people. So it's no wonder that sales, lead generation, and follow-up get a bad rap. But I like to approach them differently from an energetically positive place where what we do is about genuine connection and positive impact, helping those we touch live their lives to their fullest potential and have some fun while we're helping them and growing our business. So that's what Next Level Sales is all about. I want to inspire you, motivate you, share some stories that will help you grow yourself and your business to the highest levels you aspire to. The possibilities are as big as you want them to be, and it's an amazing journey. I am so glad to have you here with me. With that, let's get to today's episode. So I was gifted this story about the circle, albeit in a slightly different format, from an amazing show on Netflix called A Trip to Infinity. If you haven't watched it, it's pretty mind-boggling and worth the watch for sure. And there was something so beautiful and simple in the clarity of the image that made the visual of the power of perspective really so abundantly clear. Getting off the path, pausing a bit, backing up, moving away from where you are in the moment gives so much clarity. And that's exactly why this story is so beautiful and explains it so perfectly. Now, honestly, the concept of this is not rocket science, right? We know logically that this is what we need to do to solve problems. But why is it so hard to do? Well, I think it's because as business owners, we go with the flow with things unless we're faced with a challenge of some sort, right? And those challenges force us to have to change, to shift what we're doing in our business. For example, I was with my local corporate client this past week, and there's a situation that they want to take specific action on in their business. See, since I'm a business sales lead generation coach, of course I consult them with those income producing functions for their business. Now they are nearing their fiscal year end, and so have determined that they want certain performance results over the next several months, right? They want to hit these big goals. This is really normal. Stretch goals in situations like this so that all hands get on deck, so to speak, and push to accomplish these stretch goals in the time frame they have before their fiscal year ends. So, our meeting was a strategy session about what the team needed to do to accomplish those goals. And all of the normal, let's try this sort of stuff got thrown out for discussion. In the pressure and excitement to get started on their big goals, everyone was pulling out all the normal tools as suggestions, right? They were reaching into their toolbox of what they know and what they've always gone to as their go-tos to try to solve this big goal situation, right? But I urged everyone to slow things down for a second. Let's back it up and look at the end objective and talk about the situation from the end user's perspective, the buyers, the clients, right? Who's going to be purchasing and actually making this end result possible are those buyers. So we want to start working on the solution as if we were those people. And as we talked it through, we built an entirely different plan than what is commonly done to chase after those buyers. We slowed it down. We started with being in those buyers' shoes and what the journey is that those buyers take to find this corporate client, and what would make my corporate client the irresistible choice for these buyers who are out there looking for them. How do we expand the net, so to speak, to capture more potential buyers than might have even come to them to begin with? So all these things started to come together, and the end plan was something that made a lot of sense to everybody. And there was actually buy-in from all the parties involved too. They felt like it was really going to work to accomplish their stretch goals. It was different. It wasn't just the same old stuff that everybody always does. And they were even more excited to get going because this plan felt really good to them. They had a vision of exactly how it would work and the steps that their ideal buyers were going to take to help make this goal possible for them. We had shifted from being reactive to try and jump on a solution really quickly to proactive, stepping back and giving it some space. We moved from fight or flight, right? So let's just go get this done right now. And we put that space and time between the actions and crafted a whole new plan because seeing things from a different perspective helped gain this new way to go about things. They moved off the path, so to speak, and saw their objective in a whole new light. See, I think it's really easy as business owners to get into this fight or flight mode, to get into this really emotional spot where we get reactive to the moment in time that we're in, and we start to scramble. We start to react. We want to fix everything. We start to potentially take all kinds of actions in reaction to what's happening in the moment. A little bit of a panic moment, right? So we're like, oh my gosh, I got to go change everything. It's not working the way I wanted, not the way I envisioned it to. So I've got to go take action right now. Can you relate? I've certainly done it myself. See, I like to look at business and what we're doing in our business as a journey. And sometimes we get stuck, right? We don't seem like we're making progress. So you back the car up and we put it into drive again, moving forward in just a slightly different direction. This happens all the time where you kind of back up and go forward again, back up, go forward, just adjusting the direction that you're going to try and troubleshoot whatever's happening. And as you grow and tackle these opportunities or challenges that come up, this is part of the entrepreneurial journey. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve our businesses. The thing is, without a shift in perspective, this fresh and different perspective, it's really easy to get panicky. You go back and forth endlessly, really fast, just trying to figure things out, trying to force a solution. So it's so easy to jump on the bandwagon of trying what everybody else is doing that seems to be working and find yourself lost in the crowd, just throwing more and more and more at the effort of getting out of wherever you're stuck, possibly without really getting clarity on what the original real issue is, not giving yourself the space to find a more aligned, higher perspective solution. So I am a big advocate, a really big fan of moving away from fight or flight, which is really so very reactive and often doesn't bring the clearest answer and is so easy to do. It's so easy to work in the fight or flight mode when it is you and your business in this problem troubleshooting mode, right? But we want to move back and move into the proactive, where you give yourself the time and the space to have real clarity about what your best next action is. Again, not rocket science, but it is so easy to go into that reactive mode, so easy to get emotional, so easy to just start scrambling. And that's what the fight or flight instinct does to us. It's trying to keep us safe. So we react instinctively to these situations. The other thing that I think we do as business owners that really hurts us is we create the limited definition of the end of our game. So, for example, like if we don't hit a threshold, a particular income goal, maybe a certain number of clients by a particular time frame, we've defined it as a failure. Or worse, we say, "Oh gosh, I'm just going to have to shut this all down now. It didn't work." We define our failure by the time frame that we've placed on ourselves. It's all created by us. And that's pretty tough. We're really hard on ourselves. We deem it a failure because we haven't hit something by a time frame that we've put on ourselves. But I think it's really important to shift that perspective as well. If you've decided to be an online coach, really any kind of entrepreneur, how about starting to look at your business as a journey, maybe even without an end date? Like if you're really passionate about what you're doing and how you're helping people, you don't want to have an end date to your business anyway, right? Yes, you can have goals. You can have targets that you want to shoot for, but you don't want to deem yourself a failure if you don't hit those. Ultimately, you want to think about your business in terms of the long-term impact and the positive ripples that you're going to be putting out into the world. And of course, you want to have goals. It's great to have goals and targets to shoot for. But if you focus only on those destinations, that as the end goal that you're going to define yourself by, it's so easy to constantly measure yourself against that goal and where you are. You're never going to be at that end goal because you're always going to be setting new goals for yourself. So there's always going to be a gap between where you are and where your goal is, that you're going to be living constantly in the gap and falling short of reaching your goal. And then our mind sees us as failing, falling short. We're always going to be falling short of our destination. And that can be a pretty bad mind game as an entrepreneur, that you're never quite at the goal that you want, right? You want to step back and see the perspective of all the wins, all the successes, all the accomplishments, all the new skills you've learned, even if it didn't go right the first time around. If you live in the gap of where you are versus where you want to be, it's completely mentally exhausting. And life is already fraught with so much self-doubt and imposter syndrome at any level of business. We feel like we end up working against ourselves, like living in this judgment that we are never going to get that end prize. And that puts us right back into the fight or flight mode and potentially missing very valuable perspectives and lessons from this evolving business journey, from recognizing everything we've gained, even though we might not yet be at that goal that we've put out there in front of ourselves. I love looking for feedback and fresh perspectives. I seek it from my clients. I seek it from the coaches that I work with. I seek it from my daughters and friends. And sometimes it's not even outright spoken words. This could come from living in the world of sales for so many years, where you're always watching people's body language as well as their words. If I see my clients are struggling with a particular concept in my coaching program, and it's a topic that's recurring in my coaching calls, that's a big cue for me that I need to refine how I teach it in my course portal. Maybe I need to re-record something and teach it in a different way. I've even seen like in coaching programs that I'm participating in, where people are looking at, say, their metrics incorrectly. Like they're looking at the numbers and how their business is doing. And if they're looking at it wrong, they can feel like they're failing, like it's not going well. But when someone simply lifts them and shows and shares a different perspective with them on how to look at those things, it completely shifts their view. They see it from a whole new light, that it's not as dire of a situation as they potentially thought it was. Maybe it's actually even going really well, and they thought it was going not well at all. I see this all the time also inside of my high ticket sales accelerator program with the content audits that I do. And it's why the clients like these content audits so very much, that when we get feedback and fresh perspectives, it can totally shift and fine tune what our messaging is. Maybe it shifts the audience that we're targeting, maybe how we create our content, what our offer includes. So many things that with just small tweaks can make the biggest difference in whether people engage with us, engage with our content, want to know more, want to talk to us, and maybe even ultimately enroll with us. But we have a hard time seeing these blind spots in our business. Naturally so. Our vision's limited. I really believe that it's our life experiences that create the lens through which we create this perspective of ourselves, of our world. So it's pretty natural that we might not view things the same way as somebody else, or not see with clarity something that we have been involved with for so long, that we've been so close to for so long, like our businesses. But that also means it's to our benefit to have someone else's perspective to provide balance and a fresh lens, someone who might have different skills, different experiences, different mindsets. And even with the perspective of someone else, it's still not uncommon for people to argue for and defend their perspectives, because someone else's perspective can actually challenge our long held beliefs of ourselves, of our world, how we think things should be, how we viewed things for so long. So receiving someone's perspective can be a bit of a hard shift sometimes to really understand and accept. But opening up to these wider perspectives is where growth happens. It's where innovation lives. It's where we become more open to understanding our customers at an even deeper level so we can serve them even better. So, from a business perspective, I believe it's really crucial to seek out these different and fresh perspectives to get you out of any rut you're in, or repeating patterns, or self limiting beliefs. In my high ticket sales accelerator program, it's part of what I call the unblocking and aligning phases, finding ways to unclog anything that's not serving you, backing up a little bit and getting a different perspective on it so that you can move forward faster, more in your flow and alignment than you may have been up to this point, creating such a connection to what your ideal clients need from you that they say, wow, she really gets me. Like, she knows exactly where I'm coming from and what I'm looking to accomplish. When you reach a place like this in your business with your ideal clients, it's a really great place to be. It's a win all around for you, for your business, and for your new clients, because everything comes together so easily at that point. They get who you are, you really understand them, and it is a win-win on them understanding how you can help them with your coaching program. Now, if you find yourself struggling to find quality leads, wondering when and where your next new client's coming from, or maybe you simply really don't even love or feel burnt out by what you're doing to get new clients, you're going to love my free mini training. It's about going from being unseen in the online space to being unstoppable in your business. I'm going to drop a link to it in the episode notes. It's all about getting you and your offer in front of your ideal clients 24/7 on autopilot, where you really become a trusted advisor to your customers even before any sort of enrollment conversation. It brings an absolute shift in freedom of your time, a consistency in your client enrollments and your business. It just is a total shift. It goes from a pursuing sort of feeling with your lead generation and sales to an inviting sort of energy with your leads and sales. You can learn more about what this would look like for you and your business inside of the mini training. I really appreciate your time listening to this episode today, my friends. I wish you a really fantastic week and a whole lot of business success. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Now, before you go, if this episode resonates with you, I would absolutely love it if you would follow the podcast and leave a review so we can reach more entrepreneurs just like you who are eager to build a thriving coaching business that lights up their soul, gives them time freedom, and brings them financial abundance without feeling all that resistance and yuck when it comes to lead generation and sales. And if you're interested in knowing more how you can make lead generation and sales easier inside your business, check out my free mini course. You'll find the link to that mini course in the episode notes. And if you'd like to get to know me better, see what's going on in my life, hop on over to Instagram.com and follow me at Jessie Q Sales Coaching. Be sure to say hi to me there and let me know you found my podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great week, my friends. Just know I'm cheering you on to your biggest imaginable business success.